The internet is teeming with hackers, some ethical, others not so. The so-called white hats and black hats. What separates them is the thinnest of lines. Because to be a white hat, like Richard, this 30-year-old Venezuelan, you have to know the black arts too.
Oye, ¿esto qué es?
Es una antena de captación de señal de wifi. Por ejemplo, los atacantes suelen usar eso de que se van a un sitio y hackean una red wifi, que eso tampoco es muy complicado. En cuestión de unos 5 o 10 minutos ya lo podrían tener. Y desde ahí ya se conectan con su internet y se conectan a otra serie de servidores VPN en el cual enmascaran la IP pública y ahí sí lanzan un ataque.
Richard spends his days attacking corporate and individual websites, trying to find a way in, to learn how to steal information or infect the site with damaging malware. But then he doesn't actually follow through. Remember, he's a white hat, but he has to know how the bad guys operate in order to stop them.
Oye, el escudo ahí clásico de pirata.
Sí, a mí me gusta Pirata del Caribe y me gusta todo lo que tiene que ver con piratería, ¿no? En la parte buena.
Richard got hired by Telefónica, Spain's largest telecom company, in 2007. He's also consulted for Spain's prison system and trained law enforcement officials in cybersecurity back home in Venezuela. He says he turned down a lucrative full-time job offer from the late president Hugo Chavez.
Me lo pensé bien y dije, mejor no.
¿Por qué no?
Porque siempre he pensado que suele tener peligro trabajar para un gobierno. A lo mejor hagas algo mal o te enteres de algo que no deberías enterarte y para ellos sea un problema. Claro. Y los problemas allá se lo quitan de una manera muy drástica.
Specifically, Richard means you might just disappear, especially if you take on work from less than savory clients.
Mucho de la gente de Venezuela que empezó conmigo en tema de seguridad cayeron presos por delitos informáticos o bien no se supo más de ellos, pero porque se han arriesgado a trabajar para gente narcos. Y sabes que los narcos se toman las cosas muy a pecho.
Richard says he earns a decent salary, about $5,000 a month, but he's hardly getting rich. But with a girlfriend and a baby, he prefers the white hat any day. But for many hackers, the lure of big money is too strong. This black hat won't let us use his name or his real voice, or even show his exposed fingers, out of fear for his life, he says.
Siempre me han buscado gobiernos, entidades también privadas para, más que nada, sacar información de empresas que puedan ser competencia directa o indirecta de ellos. De igual forma, los gobiernos siempre buscan información sobre otros partidos políticos, sobre otros gobiernos en sí, y que están trabajando actualmente para ir un paso por delante. Es un trabajo que, a pesar de que tiene mucho riesgo, es muy lucrativo. Normalmente, si una persona normal, puede ser unos 1.000 euros o 1.500 euros. Ya si es alguien un poco más, un político o alguien un poco más experimentado, pueden ser unos 2.500 a 5.000.
For a job that he usually wraps up in a single morning. All of this cyber espionage happens on the so-called darknet, the internet you can only access via programs like Tor, where everyone is anonymous and money moves using untraceable digital currencies such as bitcoins. The deep net is an underground bazaar where criminals move everything from guns to girls.
Y si luego al terminar el trabajo, si les dijeras, soy tal, te pones en peligro a ti mismo.
Claro, esto es muy importante. En el momento que se realiza un trabajo, siempre se le asegura al cliente que nunca va a ser divulgado ni su identidad ni sus datos. Y eso no puede salir. En el momento que salga, se exponen ellos. Y después de hacer ello, evidentemente es una cadena, ¿no? Va a ir cortando cabezas según van cayendo.
So just to summarize a typical gig in the life of a Latino black hat, you sneak onto the deep net, hack some political dissident somewhere in Latin America, hand over his or her personal information to your anonymous client, charge $5,000, then erase your own digital footprints. Then, well, it's not exactly over, because maybe you were sloppy, maybe you made a mistake. So for the next few days, you worry for your personal safety, until eventually the money lures you back.
si esto evidentemente no fuera pagado y no fuera tan valorado en el sentido de ganar tanto dinero con este tipo de cosas, pues no habría interés, no habría tanto cibercrimen. Pero siempre hay un lado bueno y un lado malo.
And sometimes they make a name for themselves balancing right on the edge, like this very famous hacker, Carlos Escobar, in Medellin, Colombia. Escobar has worn every shade of gray in his career. He helped create software to hack and find child pornographers online. Some 15 years ago, he famously breached Bank of America, stealing credit card information for millions of customers.
We never did it to hack or commit a crime. We was just trying to get a job on patching holes. The crime I was sentenced for was violating the security of the United States with electronic means.
Escobar spent 29 months in prison back in the 2000s, but his crime solidified his reputation. Soon, he says, he was working for Hugo Chavez. He says he set up Chavez's Twitter account when Twitter was hardly used.
He made social media very important for politicians. Donald Trump is doing a copycat of Chavez did.
It was the dawn of social media. Escobar became an expert on it. Today, he's a consultant for big corporations, celebrities, and politicians. And this is his Cyber HQ, where he tracks real-time cyber attacks around the world.
It monitors big traffic events in the web, okay? So here it shows you who the attacker is, what IP are using. Most of them, it's companies like Microsoft, Kaspersky, because they're doing test attacks. If we see big activity, then we just go to the detail to see what's going on. It can be our customers. For us, like we run 320 sites for big companies.
Or a politician who's hired him. Escobar says he's been a cyber advisor on countless election campaigns in Latin America.
The first thing a campaign hires now is a special guy in hacking.
On a recent day, he gets a visit from a Mexican mayoral candidate, one Mauricio Quintana.
We're looking with Carlos a strategy to try to work this out because there is a lot of corruption in the Mexican government in all parties. Here with Carlos, we're going to try to find a strategy to try to solve that problem to win.
One thing Escobar can do for a client is make sure no one tampers with Mexico's electronic voting system, heading off fraud. But way before that, during the campaign, he's already busy.
We had this candidate in Central America. He was running for governor. And then we found some pictures on his Facebook that he was doing this weird post with his kids. In theory, look gay. So we hire a bunch of real, I would say females, you know. And there was a group like of 10. And every time he would go out to talk, we have him move, and they will say, "You're our candidate. Thank you for loving the gays. Thank you for supporting us." But the guy was not supporting them.
Still, the ruse worked. Conservative voters associated the candidate with homosexuals, and he lost the election. Another tactic involves hacking news websites and crashing them. Escobar says even if he can delay a negative news story for a couple of hours, it reduces the damage to his client.
Okay, I'm gonna start now.
You're gonna start now? Okay, but first I want to introduce you to Josep, because he's the owner of our studio here.
Hi, Joseph.
Carlos, and he's a little bit nervous that someone could get in so easily to the system, and he's but he's I think I think it's not easy, no. So you can hack a website from any laptop. It doesn't have to be your special.
We use our platform. You know, we use our boot network, and these guys are IPs. So it doesn't matter where we are.
So on a typical website like this, Carlos, from the moment you start, how long does it typically take you to be able to get in?
About 5 minutes. I already started the boot network. 5 minutes, it depends on how strong the server is. This is a little bit strong, it's not that. What we're doing right now is escalating our attack.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to collapse the server essentially? Is that what you're trying to do? Overwhelm it?
We're doing both.
Okay, I just tried it and it says you cannot access this website. And it says error connection timed out. And that's it.
This is very useful in not only politicians, any kind of customer. Let's say Kim Kardashian, okay? Overnight, 3 a.m., she went out of a bar and they saw her kissing another woman. You cannot go all over, but the main news sites that will target, we will just do a DOS attack and then try to get the most out of it. See if we can get the pictures down. But by the time you do that, you take 1 or 2 hours, the news will not viralize. And this is, for real, this is what happens every single day.
Well, thank you, Carlos. That's been an informative and scary experience today.
You're welcome. Give me your email.
Yeah, right.
This was just a demonstration, but imagine you're a human rights activist in Latin America, say Mexico or Colombia or Honduras, where people like you get stalked and killed all the time, sometimes by the state or groups working for the state. In that case, you might just want to attend this. Hackers from all over the world get together to share ideas on how to keep the internet open, free, and safe for everyone. Activists from Latin America are in fact here, trying to take a page out of the hackers' playbooks in order to stay alive, says Natalia Espitia from Colombia. She's learning how to use encrypted messaging online to hide her pirate radio station's human rights organizing.
Pues trabajamos con comunidades de riesgos, entonces poder que accedan a internet, pero no esté registrado el lugar desde donde estemos accediendo para protegerlos a ellos es como absolutamente necesario para nosotros. El año pasado fueron asesinados más de 80 líderes sociales y este año van aproximadamente 30 líderes sociales asesinados. Entonces, pues cuando estamos trabajando con ellos, para nosotros es muy importante protegerlos de todas las maneras posibles.
Activists here are picking up some decidedly low-tech tips as well, says Esme Sierra, a Honduran who describes herself as a cyber feminist. She says a new anti-terrorism law in Honduras outlaws just about any criticism of the government.
La ley antiterrorista lo que dice, palabras más, palabras menos, es que organizaciones de derechos humanos albergan terroristas. ¿Y quiénes son esos terroristas? Pues las personas del movimiento social. Cualquier comentario en Facebook, cualquier comentario en Twitter o en redes sociales puede ser considerado como un acto de terrorismo, como incitar al odio, como conspirar contra el Estado.
Even hacking Facebook isn't that hard. Remember Richard, the white-hatted? He explains how people can get tricked into revealing their social media passwords.
Bueno, voy a hacer una demostración de cómo un atacante podría obtener la credencial de una cuenta de Facebook de cualquier persona. ¿Vale? Existen varios métodos, digamos. Uno es el ataque por phishing. Lo que hacen es que simulan que es la página original. ¿Vale? En cuanto coloca su correo y su contraseña, él lo que hace es que le envía la contraseña al atacante. El atacante recibe esa contraseña y automáticamente lo redirecciona al Facebook oficial. ¿Sí? O sea, la página oficial para que ellos digan, he metido la contraseña mal. Vuelve a intentar y ahí sí entra, para que no sospechen. Es una estrategia para que no sospechen. Otro método que suelen utilizar mucho para hackear digamos, las cuentas de Facebook es la fuerza bruta. Fuerza bruta es básicamente hacer ataques de diccionario. O sea, más o menos estudia a la persona, dices qué aficiones tiene. A lo mejor le gusta el fútbol, le gusta la televisión, le gusta un cantante. Entonces, con todas esas características, creas un diccionario.
Moraleja es que no hay información segura en Internet.